I'm Dr. Randy Neal, and in this video we're going to talk about, can it actually be an advantage to be an IMG? And I'd say the answer to that is yes, it can. And it's mainly, it's an advantage once you get the interview. And what I mean by that is, looking at it from a perspective of a program director is, an IMG student, we know has come through a long process. We know that to get it's very difficult to be ECFMG certified. Chances are that you've studied for step 1, step 2, perhaps even step 3, outside of your normal academic schedule. So we know you had to put in the extra work to get there. And just like we kind of mentioned in some previous videos is, the things that the program directors look for, I'd say historically, and again, this is just perhaps my opinion, but I've been at some of these conferences with some program directors, and they always kind of, I can't speak for them, but sometimes they have difficulty with some sense of entitlement with certain residents, and how perhaps not saying all of them, but sometimes American graduates, when they interview, they actually come to a program and perhaps interview and say, what does the program have to sell to me? Whereas a lot of times when I look at the IMG, it's more like, we're coming there to try to sell ourselves to the program. But the concerns that most program directors might have, getting the notes done, kind of cooperation with the other residents and the attendings, it's to alleviate those fears and concerns. And just by being an IMG and having to put in all that extra work, I think it becomes your advantage when you're in that interview process. And like I've always said before, the most difficult part about being the IMG is getting the interview. So where I would put my focus in the very beginning at this stage is past step 1. All your energy, all your focus, tune out everything. Don't have any wasted mental energy on saying, okay, what do I got to do for this rotation, or looking too far forward. Your focus needs to be on passing step 1 because that's the biggest hurdle in this whole process, is passing step 1 and not letting that trip you up. People spend years and years studying for step 1 sometimes, but I think a lot of those are due to not just, sometimes allowing some extra stuff to kind of creep in their minds and not being able to fully focus on that exam. So you pass step 1, and then you'll focus on how you're going to obtain the interview. And I think in that one video that I did from Chief Resident or from IMG to Chief Resident, I think I share some of those ways that you can get those interviews. So to answer the question of the video, can it be an advantage being an IMG? I'm going to say yes, it can be, because it's emphasizing all the stuff that you had to go through to get to this point. You're not going to be that person that's going to be kind of a thorn on someone's side for 3 or 4 years or however long you're in residency. You're going to embed those little tricks of the trade in your personal statement and your letters of recommendation that are really going to emphasize to the program director that you're someone that's it's reliable, someone that has integrity, someone who's going to follow through on something that they say that they're going to do. And I think if you put all those things together, I think once you're being compared in that spot, in that interview, I honestly feel it can be an advantage of being an IMG. And even for myself, when I went through this process, I remember vividly being it was a large communal room of, it seemed like 20 or 30 applicants. It seemed like 1 million at the time, but it was probably just that number. But I just felt some inherent feeling per se that I had the advantage now. I say, when we're all sitting here, we're all equal, because they already know where we all came from. They already know what our scores were, and now it's just a matter of kind of selling ourselves to the program and emphasizing those little tips. But ultimately, you want that program director to feel that that I'm the best candidate for this spot, and it's for these reasons that if I come here, I think that I'd be an excellent choice for the program, not only now but in years to come. So again, it can be an advantage, but I'd emphasize it's an advantage once you get the interview. But for now, focus on step 1. Past that, we can circle the wagons later and try to figure out the best avenue for you to get that that residency interview. But focus on your exam. And ultimately, it's all about just moving forward with this whole process, putting in the work, and and seeing the results in the end. So, hope you liked the video.